Atlanta's airport's been designated to screen some of the international travelers amid an Ebola outbreak. People who have been to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the past 21 days can now land at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport or at Dulles, which is just outside of our nation's capital in Virginia. The World Health Organization says a global risk for spread of Ebola is low. In the Congo, though, the outbreak is deeply worrisome.